My guest today has had a whirlwind of a life, seeking identity and meaning in all the wrong places. In fact, he said that he became a man who ruined lives. Welcome, Shawn, to our show.
Thank you for having me.
So you were adopted at a young age.
Yep.
And into a white family.
Yep.
And about a couple of years later, you were around 9 or so years old, you really saw yourself for the first time.
Yeah.
Explain this interaction.
Well, it was just a little birthday party, right? We were at a swimming pool, and we were being boys in the change room, like everything's a place, and this gentleman was just angry that we were playing in there and decided to use some choice words in describing me, and I was like, oh, well, what does that even mean? And so then I went and I asked my mom, you know, what is that? And
she used the N-word.
Yeah, used the N-word.
Yeah.
And my mom, she was just angry. Oh, you know, they said, don't poke a sleeping bear, and that's what they did. It was just, my mom went in and she just tore a strip off the sky, but that really started something in me. Like, who am I? Like, am I different? And it kind of changed the way I started to see the world and how they viewed me. And I didn't really want to, you know, play the color card and the race card, but I just said there's something different. And yeah, I really kind of saw that manifest later in high school, where you know, testosterone starts to kick in and you become a teenager / man, at least hormonally. And
you were also struggling with anger towards your birth mom as well.
It was frustration and questions and things that I was like, why? You know, why did you put me up for adoption? Why are these things? Why am I over here when I could be over here? You know, some people take it for granted that they get to see kind of the trajectory of which they're going to look like physically and maybe manifest their attitudes and you know, those kind of characteristics. And if you meet my parents versus the characteristics that I have, it kind of throw you a loop, right? Pretty conservative parents, and I'm a bit of a, you know, I like to talk, so.
But you grew up in a Christian home,
yeah.
And as you got older, started to rebel a little.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
Well, like, you know, rebellion is part of the process of growing, I think, in a sense, as you go from boyhood. From boyhood to manhood, you're trying to assert yourself in your environment. So you want to take your faith, you want to take yourself away from your parents' faith into your faith, and whatever that is, whatever your faith is. And at the same time, we were running into some church politics. We don't need to get into that, but that coupled all together said, okay, whoa, this is not for me. And so I was like, I'm out. I'm totally out. Yeah, and I was graduating high school, so there was all this transition happening at the same time. And so then I really didn't know who I was. Didn't know anything. I wasn't going to get into university, didn't have the marks for that. I had a 51, which is really not a good average to have when you graduate and you're trying to get into university. But, and so I said, what am I going to do to kind of continue on my life? I had a taste for women. I really, and I had a bent at the same time. So this kind of frustration that I had to my birth mother had the same frustration towards women. And I mean, that's why I tell young women, it's very important you really research the young man that's approaching you, because they have baggage. And the baggage for me was, I'm going to take out the frustrations I have on my birth mother on you. I'm going to break your heart.
So what did that look like?
I'm grown, so I can say it now.
Yeah.
I would date somebody and then date somebody else at the same time. And I would know when this relationship was about to end, so that I would break that heart. And I would try to get them to give me everything, literally everything of themselves, so that I could, as soon as I had everything, and I would break that, and I would move on to the next, and it was just this cycle. And so drug dealing and all of those questions, like when I started to figure that that's what I was going to have to do in order to make money and feed myself or whatever, and I made that choice, I said this is going to be the easiest way. It was just kind of a cycle. And yeah, so that ruined a lot of people, and I've had to apologize many a time for that. And, you know, the Lord sees us through those things, and you realize that that is not your identity. That's not who you are.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to hear more of Shawn Naylor's story and how he found who he truly was. Stay with us. We'll be right back.